there was, at that time I was still looking at my faith and learning my faith again. And I was walking into the back of our parish church, and there was a poster there with another order, and it said something like, "Oh, something sister me, why not?" And I thought it was probably the most ridiculous poster that I'd ever seen, but it kept playing around in my mind, and the thought of being a nun wouldn't go, "Well, God, if you want me to be a nun, I will be a nun, but you have to do it," because I don't actually want to do it myself. So, it influenced me to be a sister. Basically Christ. The more you learn your faith, the more that you come to know our Lord, especially in the Eucharist, through prayer. That is my greatest influence and my greatest strength. And of course, when going through formation as a sister, the person probably at the time of being a novice is a sister who's just joined an order, and she is in what they call formation. That's when she's learning to be a nun and learning to dedicate herself to the church. The most important person at that time is the novice mistress, the one who looks after you, your superiors. And throughout that time, throughout the life of a nun, the superiors are always one of the guiding influences in your life. But really, if we keep our eyes on our Lord and Our Lady, particularly she's my role model, that they're the greatest influence in my life. Every day, every single day is a sacrifice, and every single day is a struggle. But you only take one day at a time. But I'm saying that for a sister, but quite honestly, if you were a mother, or a father in your case, or a brother or a priest, the sacrifice is there always. Nobody can get rid of their cross. Every day you have to take up your cross and follow it, and follow Christ. There's no getting away from sacrifice or suffering. The important thing is to live the calling which God has chosen for you, and to respond to it and to be faithful to it. You'll never get away from the cross, no matter where you run. It'll always be there. So every day is a sacrifice, and every day is a struggle. Not always. Before I was 18, I always wanted to be married. I thought I'd always be a good mother. I loved children. I became a teacher because I love children so much. But it was really that time when I went and saw that poster at the back of our parish church, and the thought of being a sister just wouldn't leave you alone. And at that time I really wanted what God wanted for me, because I knew He knew what was best for me, and what was best for His church. So that was the point where I gave up the idea, and it is a giving up of an idea, because it's all naturally built in us, especially for a woman, to be a mother and to be a wife. But I gave all of that up because I wanted to serve God in the way He wanted me to serve Him. No, not immediately. At the time that I decided, I had just gotten a teaching position. It was only a temporary teaching position, but it was the first step into a career, And my parents were very happy with that. It was a very good job next to my father's surgery. He's a doctor, and a lot of his patients were going to be my students. So there was a lot of excitement, of this new teacher coming. He's also Dr. Aw's daughter, But when I went on retreat just before I took that. Just after I agreed to take that job, and before the term started, and then all of a sudden I went to Tyburn Priory, which is my monastery, and I said, no, I have to go now, God's calling me now. So I had to leave my job, and my parents were quite disappointed. They kept saying, wait until Christmas, you know. And I said, no, I have to go now because this is God calling me now. So I have to leave everything, leave my job, you know, sell my car, get rid of my clothes. When we go into the monastery, we don't come out again. We're in clothes. We don't visit our family. We don't go home. The only time we come out of our monastery, and I'm not in a very special situation at the moment. I'm on leave for a very special reason, and it's only for a short time. But when I'm in the monastery, we only come out for the doctor or to do our passports or visas or whatever vote. That's the only times that we actually come out. We don't come out to shop. We don't go out to see movies, and we don't go out to restaurants, you know. So it was a very hard thing for my mother in particular to let go of her daughter, and knowing that she would never come back home again, and possibly being sent to another country. So, and they would only visit once a month, you know. So that was hard, and it took a while for them to adjust. But what made it harder was that my sister, she became a nun in our same order as well 6 months after I did. So she was not only losing me, she became a nun too. I think that was me, and I think she's in here somewhere as well. I have to find pictures. That's her. That's my sister there as well. So she became a nun, and that made it all the more harder for my sisters. But now, nearly 20 years on, that was 20 years ago, nearly 20 years ago, my mother doesn't say that she's lost 2 daughters. She says she's gained about 5 monasteries, because they become like family. When we join a monastery, all your family becomes like a family of the monastery. So they know all the sisters here that you see in these pictures, and they're all really like their extended family, like their relatives and cousins and daughters-in-laws and whatever. There's a lot of consequences for not following what the Lord wants for you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If I slipped away, if I stopped being a nun, I know that I would be very, very unhappy, because I know that my calling, and I'm absolutely certain of it, I know that my calling is to be a nun and to always be faithful to Christ. And if you slip away or if you leave, I'm sure the Lord will have compassion on you and mercy, and He will understand if you generally, out of weakness, can't. But I don't think any of us can be truly happy unless we're really doing what God wills. Quite honestly, I don't see how you can, because when we do God's will, there's a peace and a joy that comes with it that's everlasting, that's beyond this world. That's beyond anything that this world can give you, you know. And I think the consequences is not really God punishing you as you not living a life that was meant for you. That's the kind of punishment. It's almost our own sort of weakness that comes up and hits us sometimes. It's not really God saying, oh, I'm going to get you back because you didn't. He's not like that. He quite understands and has compassion, but really there's nothing like the peace and joy of doing God's will. There's no greater reward that we can have.
Yeah, has living out your vocation brought you closer to God?
Absolutely, yeah. The more faithful you are to God, the more closer you come to it, because you become what you call in union with God. You know, the more you do God's will, the more you come to know Him and to love Him more, and the more willing you are to give sacrifice to Him as well in everything that you do. So, most rewarding. There's a lot of things that I can go over. I mean, the most rewarding, and I can say that, is Christ Himself is the most greatest reward that you can have. And it will be, that's what's at the end. But I can tell you that throughout my life as a religious sister, as a monastic, I've mostly gone overseas and built new monasteries. So when I was a novice, I was sent over to New Zealand, and I helped build a new monastery there, a founding community. A bit later on, I was sent to Ecuador, and I went over there and I built a new monastery. Then I lived a time in Peru. And Peru is a very, very poor country. And it was very rewarding for me to know that I was there with the poor people. You know, you have lots of charities there over there, but there's very few charities that really feed the spiritual. Do you know what I mean? And our whole monastic life is about the spiritual, helping people through prayer, praying for people, upholding them in front of the Lord in the Blessed Sacrament. Over there in Peru, you don't know if you're going to eat that day. They eat. Some of the children that I've seen over there only eat every third day. You know, and it was a great reward for me to be able to be there for them and to perhaps give them something. You know, when they come to the door, it was beautiful. A lot of the time, it's not so much that they're asking for money or asking for food, and they do ask for those things, but a lot of them are asking just for somebody to listen to them, to pray for them, and to console them, and to give them faith, because they've got nothing else. So that's the kind of rewards that you feel like you're doing good, you know? You feel like you're doing good. So.
Who is your main mentor in your journey of becoming a sister?
My main mentor would have been my Superior General, Mother Xavier McMonigal, and she's taught me a lot of things that throughout my monastic life, especially in the way of building a monastery, but really that sort of spiritual and common sense guidance, you know, to get through life and community life especially. But she taught me things like how to move cattle, how to move sheep, you know, how to look after sheep, how to take care of chickens. She taught me how to use a hammer and nail, to use drills, to build all sorts of things that we had to do for the monastery. You know, we were doing a lot of carpentry. We laid tiles, laid gardens, laid lawns, you know, that sort of thing. So, cut down trees. We cut down trees too.
How do you feel your vocation is influenced by?
I hope it's influenced a lot, you know, other people. When you're enclosed, enclosed means that we don't go out, we're inside the monastery. We don't actually see the influence often that we have on other people. But I know a lot of the time when I'm in the monastery, a lot of people ring up to tell them that their prayers have been answered. And I know also that there are many needy people outside who just need a lot of support. So